Hello everyone and welcome to this beautiful episode of Buying Land in Uganda. In our previous episode, for those of you who didn't watch it, please go to the description and find the link. We talked about pricing of land in Uganda. The reasons as to why we talked about pricing is because we didn't want any of you to get cheated when it comes to buying land in Uganda. A lot of you young people or youth are venturing into agriculture, and that's something I'm very, very passionate about because I recently ventured into agriculture and I'm loving it. So I'm here to give you insights about buying land, what sort of venture you should go into, why you need to do this and the other, among many other things. And that can only be got here on the Duke's Farm YouTube channel. So thank you so much for joining me again. My name is Denis. If you're new here, please make it a point to subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on social media at Denis Duke UG. That's Instagram, Facebook, and of course Twitter. Let's talk about the mistakes that very many people do now. Like I said in my previous video, buying land is a very wise decision to many people that would love to go into either farming or building residentials. It depends on what you want to do. But a lot of you are making a lot of mistakes when it comes to buying land in Uganda. Some of you are being cheated. Some of you are making these dubious mistakes, costing you your hard-earned money. And I wouldn't want to see that happen to any young man out there venturing into either farming or just real estate. So let's talk about some of the mistakes that people do when it comes to land in Uganda. And I'll be, of course, within this same video, offering you solutions to some of these challenges. So challenge number one is, of course, people buying land without a clear goal or purpose. I see a lot of people get money and get excited. I also want to own land. It's important. It's very unique. It's very good. But I wouldn't advise you to just buy land for the sake of buying. No. Now, if you buy land without a clear purpose, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. For example, somebody, just because they've gotten 10 million, they'll rush and buy land perhaps 20 kilometers or even 30 kilometers away from capital Kampala. Yet they work from within Kampala on a single basis. You find somebody struggling to reach Kampala or even get home because of the distance that is involved. But this is because they bought land without a clear reason, just for the sake of owning land. So it also depends on the reason. For example, what do you want that land for? Is it for farming? Is it for residential? If it's for farming, you need to look out for so many things. For example, availability to market, availability to electricity, availability to water, availability to so many things, good roads. The same applies to when you're looking for land for settling. Is it a good habitable area or you're buying in a swampy area? So some of these mistakes should be avoided. Buy land with a clear reason. Number two is buying land without being very sure of the land tenure system in Uganda. A lot of you make a lot of mistakes. There's land that is for Chivanja, there is private mile land, and then there is Kabaka land. A lot of you get a lot of problems identifying these different land tenure systems in the country. Now, for example, many people make mistakes by getting land on agreement only to find themselves being evicted by individuals who have land titles for the same land. And this is common, like I said, for Bivanja. Now, a Chivanja is a land in Buganda that has dual ownership. For example, it's owned by a landlord who has the title and the squatter who is occupying the land. And normally the title owners are always out of the picture, sometimes not known by the neighbors. And so when somebody buys land, maybe that land has been sold to different people. Remember, they're just making agreements. Sometimes they get evicted by the landowners because they're not even known by the landowners. So before you buy land, you need to understand what land tenure system within that area is applicable. For example, in other parts like Western Uganda, buying customary land is safe as it does not have any dual ownership. So if you buy Chibanja land, ensure that both the title owner and the squatter agree to sell to you so that you become an only owner, and should be in writing, followed by a mutation, which is cutting off that piece of land from the mother title and giving you your own title. Yes. For example, in Uganda, I recommend that you buy only land with private mile titles as the resort. Yes, land with private mile land title is very good because you own this land as your own. You have the land title within your name, and that's very, very good for you. Now, another mistake that people make when buying land is buying land or paying for that land without doing due diligence. When you talk about due diligence, it is very important when you're buying something. It could be a car, it could be anything. First, be sure about what you're going to pay for. For example, go to the land office from within where that land is located. First of all, get the details of that land. For example, plot number, block number from the owner, the person that is selling. Go to the land office and do a land search. I know a lot of people lately have connived, a lot of conmen have connived with officials from different land ministry offices, but it is very important that you go there and do a land search so that you ascertain who is the right owner of the land, because the land offices have names of different land owners in the country. At least they have a list of them, and they know that this block number, plot number is owned by so and so. They even have a picture of that particular person. They have the details of that particular land, whether it has encumbrances, whether it is land meant for road or for any government infrastructure, among many other things. So doing a thorough due diligence is the very first thing. But do not stop at just going to the land office. Come back to the land when you're not with this particular person that showed you the land, and ask neighbors, could you be knowing who owns this land? Who is selling this land? Do you know him? Go to the area LC1 chairperson and ask him. Sometimes people want to do away with the LC1 chairperson because they also ask for huge sums of money when transacting on behalf of the client or when they are involved. But for me, I think it's a good idea. Why? Because you're just going to lose maybe 500,000 shillings to the chairman, LC1 chairman, and then saving either 50 or 4, even if it's 5 million, you're saving the huge amount and only losing the little amount. So don't be so stingy when it comes to buying land in Uganda. Spend that little money, ask the LC1 chairperson, involve him, let him tell you about the history of that land before you actually buy it. Okay. Also, when this person has a family, seek to know, has the woman given her consent to selling this land? If not, it's a no-go area for you to buy that particular land. That is another mistake. Now, buying land without confirming the actual location of the land and its boundaries is also a very, very bad mistake. For example, somebody shows you land and gives you a land title that has almost similar shape and design for that particular land, and you run to buy it without confirming whether it is actually here and this is actually the land, is very, very bad and very, very wrong. We've seen scenarios where somebody buys land and they are shown different land, yet on the actual plot, on the actual land title, there is a different plot. So what do you need to do? You need to get a surveyor. A lot of you want to jump that bit of getting a surveyor to do a thorough search of your land and ascertain whether that land on the land title is actually the one on ground, you know. And also, if it's 2 acres, you need to really find, is it 2 acres or it's something less? I'll give you a scenario. We're almost buying land somewhere in Zirowe, and this particular guy, on his land title, there are 4 acres, but on ground, it's actually not 4 acres. So we somehow paid, yes, it was painful paying the surveyor to do a survey, open boundaries and all that. We paid around, I think 1 million or even 1.5 to just do that for the 4 acres. And we ascertained that it was actually not 4 acres, it was 3.5 acres. And the guy wanted us to pay for 4 acres. So imagine you're losing an acre an acre. If you're buying, say for example, the land was at 25 million per acre, when you that's about that's roughly about 13 million that you're going to lose, just because you didn't want to spend 1 million bringing a surveyor to do open boundaries for you. Now, another mistake that people do is buying land without finding out the financial or the pricing of land in different areas. Now, this has made very many people lose money that they were meant to invest here. Like I said, land is a very, very good venture that you should go into, because land appreciates every day. But if you make a mistake and do not watch my first video when I was talking about pricing, then you haven't, or you do not know the different prices of different in different places when it comes to land. So when you buy land, for example, at 20 million in an area where land is at 10, within 3 years you will think land has appreciated, which is very true. So you'll want to either sell it at 30. Unfortunately, by then land in that area will be either at 15 or 20. So you'll realize that nobody will want to buy your land because they know of the pricing of land in that area. And for you, you will have made a loss. Very, very total loss. So you'll have to, sell it cheaply so that you either solve a problem at hand or any other thing. So you must be very, very vigilant. Do thorough research of prices of different land in different areas before actually buying land. Do not be swayed by friends. Do not be swayed by colleagues. Another land mistake that people do make in Uganda is buying land in installments. Now, I know a lot of you can disagree with me on this. I know some of you have bought land in installments and have been successful, but I wouldn't really advise anybody to do that. I mean, I do buy a lot of things on installment, but that does not apply when it comes to land. If I don't get the land within my budget, I'd rather leave it or don't buy it at all. For example, you buy land at 100 million shillings or even 50 million shillings and you pay maybe 80% deposit. 80%. In most cases, which I have seen, the land title is not given to you by the owners of the land until you pay up full payment. That's 100%. So you promise maybe to pay it within 3 months, and between the 3 months, this person perhaps has a financial problem. They are either going to be tempted to get money from the bank or even sell this land to finish their problem, and before you know it, they've already sold this land to somebody else. And when you come with your balance, you may not necessarily be in position to get that land because you don't actually own the land title. This person was at liberty, more so when you buy land from trusted sources. So when you're buying land, if it's at 100 million, please pay it full. It just works in the best interest of you. You get that land title. Now, you could also do that, but still make another mistake, which is not transferring your land title into your names. That's a terrible one. Very many people have been cheated in the long run. For example, a person sells you land, he gives you the land title, so you think you're safe. My dear, until you transfer it in your names. Take, for example, this person going to land's office after realizing that you've not changed your the land title into your names, and they claim either the land title was destroyed in a fire or they lost it. So the land title, they pay a few shillings here and they get a new land title. This person can go back and sell that land to another person, and if it doesn't work for you, this other person could actually change that land title into their name really fast, and before you come, the land has already gone. It has already changed the names, and for the land's office, they don't know who exactly you are because they weren't there when you were making this transaction. So the moment you buy land and get the land title, please, within that first week, I know sometimes finances could be a constraint, but even the next day, go and make your change. Start the process of changing, because very many people can't be trusted. Another issue on this particular mistake of not changing land title is the land's office keeps updating its system. For example, today they could be asking for an ID or 2 passport photos and maybe transfer forms, and that's all. Who knows? Maybe after 3 years they'll be asking for that person to come in person to to attend and be there to sign, like at the land office to actually ascertain. Or they could have changed some of the things that they ask before they transfer land, you know. And the downside with this is you will go to look for this person. When they realize you haven't changed and you need them, my dear, you will pay hugely this person to even give you a photocopy of his national ID. He won't. They'll either ask for money from you, which sometimes could become very unfortunate and uncomfortable for some of you. Another last mistake that very many people are making is buying land without ascertaining the access to it. For example, not knowing the actual road demarcated for this land on the land title. When they give you the land title, take the the mandate to check whether there is an approved road. Really, the lands ministry does not approve a land title that has no road. So accessibility to your area should be very, very top priority. At least ask the owner to clear land or the road before you buy. Another huge mistake that I was going to forget is buying small plots of land. Something that is not 50 by 100. That's the approved size at the lands office where a land title is given. So if you buy anything less than that, you may not be able to get land title for that particular area because it's low or less than what is required from the Ministry of Lands. Now, we could go on and on and on. There are a lot of mistakes. Today, I'll have to end there. Please watch my previous video, watch my next video. I'll be more than glad to come back with another one. Until then, it's a goodbye. My name is Denis Duke Wonyala. Keep watching The Duke's Farm.